The day I found my mother's journal was the day everything started to unravel. It was buried in a box of wedding magazines that Uncle Spencer had helpfully delivered to my apartment, probably hoping I'd follow his perfectly planned vision for my big day. I'm Michaela, and until 3 months ago, I thought I was living a fairly normal life. I had a wonderful fiancé, Brandon, a job I loved at the local art gallery, and what I believed was a supportive family. But that journal changed everything. Sweetie, have you looked through those magazines I sent over? Uncle Spencer's voice crackled through my phone speaker. I've marked some excellent venues that would be perfect for the ceremony. I was actually thinking about the botanical gardens, I said, flipping through one of the magazines. Mum always loved the botanical gardens. He cut me off with a laugh that made my skin crawl. Oh no, dear. That's far too small for the guest list I've put together. Besides, outdoor venues are terribly unpredictable. I gripped the phone tighter. But it's my wedding, Uncle Spencer. I thought, Michaela, your mother isn't here to guide you anymore. Trust me, I know what's best. I've already scheduled appointments at the Grand Plaza Hotel and the Metropolitan. We'll tour them tomorrow. The leather-bound journal had fallen from between the magazines when I'd first opened the box. Now, as I hung up the phone, I picked it up again, running my fingers over my mother's familiar handwriting on the first page. My best friend Chloe walked in just as I was about to open it. Hey, bride-to-be, ready for lunch? She stopped short when she saw my face. What's wrong? I held up the journal. It's Mom's. I haven't seen it since before she died. Chloe sat beside me on the couch. Are you going to read it? I don't know if I should. I turned it over in my hands. It feels private. She was your mother, Michaela. If she didn't want you to find it eventually, she wouldn't have kept it. I opened to a random page and a small note fell out. The paper was yellowed, the corners worn, but my mother's handwriting was clear. My dearest Michaela, if you're reading this, watch the shadows. Not everyone who claims to protect you has your best interests at heart. What does that mean? Chloe leaned in to read it. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from Uncle Spencer. I've taken the liberty of booking the Metropolitan for your date. The deposit has been paid. We can discuss the details over dinner tonight. He's doing it again, I said, showing Chloe the message. Ever since Mum died, he's been trying to control everything in my life. The wedding is just his latest project. Maybe you should talk to Brandon about this, Chloe suggested. He should know how you're feeling. Brandon thinks Uncle Spencer is being generous. Everyone does. He's the successful businessman who stepped in to help his poor niece after her mother's death. I picked up the journal again. But Mom's note. It's like she knew something like this would happen. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Aunt Louisa, Spencer's wife. Your uncle mentioned you were considering the botanical gardens. Please don't upset him, dear. He's put so much thought into making this perfect for you. I threw the phone onto the couch. Perfect for me or perfect for him? Read the journal, Chloe said firmly. Your mom was trying to tell you something. And honestly, your uncle's behavior is getting creepy. I opened to the first page and began to read aloud. My darling daughter, there are things you need to know about our family. Things I've protected you from for too long. Spencer isn't the man he pretends to be. The day he came to live with us after your father left, I knew I had to start documenting everything. Chloe grabbed my arm. Michaela, look at the date. The entry was dated exactly 1 week before my mother's unexpected death. My phone buzzed one more time. Uncle Spencer again. I've invited the wedding planner to dinner tonight. 7 p.m. sharp at my house. Don't be late. We have so much to discuss. I closed the journal, my hands shaking. I always thought Mom's death was sudden. She was healthy, young. What are you saying? I don't know. I clutched the journal to my chest, but I'm starting to think finding this wasn't an accident, and maybe Mom's death wasn't either. The shadows my mother warned about were starting to take shape, and they all pointed to Uncle Spencer. I spent the entire afternoon before dinner poring over my mother's journal with Chloe. Each page revealed more disturbing details about Uncle Spencer's behaviour in the months leading up to Mum's death. "Listen to this entry," I said, my finger tracing the lines. "Spencer cornered me in the kitchen today, demanding to see the trust fund paperwork. When I refused, he smiled that cold smile of his and said, 'Your daughter's future is at stake here, Sylvia. Don't be difficult.'" Chloe leaned forward. "Trust fund? You never mentioned a trust fund." "Because I didn't know about it." I flipped through more pages. "According to Mom's notes, my father set it up before he left. It was supposed to be accessible when I turned 25. But you're 27 now." "Exactly." I closed the journal and checked my watch. "I need to get ready for this dinner. Will you keep looking through it while I'm gone?" "Of course." Chloe grabbed my arm. "But maybe you shouldn't go alone." "If I don't show up, he'll know something's wrong." I grabbed my purse. "Just keep your phone close." Uncle Spencer's house was exactly what you'd expect from a successful businessman. Modern, pristine, and cold. Aunt Louisa opened the door, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Michaela, darling." She hugged me stiffly. "Spencer's in his study with Ms. Roberts, the wedding planner." I followed her through the house, noticing how she kept wringing her hands. Before we reached the study, she suddenly turned to me. "Michaela, about the botanical gardens." She glanced nervously at the study door. "Your mother and I used to have lunch there every Sunday. She always said it would be perfect for—" "Ah, there's my beautiful niece." Uncle Spencer's voice boomed as the study door swung open. Come in, come in. We have so much to discuss." Ms. Roberts sat primly on the edge of her chair, tablet in hand. "Miss Schmidt, your uncle has been sharing some wonderful ideas." "Has he?" I forced a smile, watching Uncle Spencer pour himself a drink. "Actually, I've been doing some thinking about the trust fund." The crystal tumbler in his hand paused halfway to his lips. Trust fund. The one my father set up. I met his gaze steadily. I turned 25 2 years ago. Aunt Louisa made a small choking sound and hurried from the room. "My dear," Uncle Spencer's voice was honey smooth. "Where did you get such an idea? Your father left us with nothing but debts. Why do you think your mother had to work so hard?" My phone buzzed in my pocket. Chloe's text read, "Found letters from your dad to your mom. Dated after he supposedly left. Spencer intercepted them." "That's not true," I said, standing up. "Mom's journal." The change in his expression was instant, like a mask slipping. "What journal?" "The one that fell out of your wedding magazine box." I took a step toward the door. "The one where she documented everything." Ms. Roberts cleared her throat uncomfortably. "Perhaps we should reschedule—" "No!" Uncle Spencer's shout made us both jump. He quickly composed himself. "No, please stay. Michaela is obviously upset. Wedding jitters, you understand. Now, about the Metropolitan's ballroom—" My phone buzzed again. "Chloe, get out now. Called Brandon. He's on his way." "I'm leaving," I announced, heading for the door. "And I'm having the botanical gardens." Uncle Spencer grabbed my arm, his fingers digging in. "You ungrateful little—" He caught himself, aware of Ms. Roberts watching. "Michaela, you're confused. Your mother's death was hard on all of us. Let me help you, like I always have." "Let go of me." I yanked my arm free. "Mom tried to warn me about you. What did you do to her?" His face went completely blank. "I'd be careful with accusations like that, dear niece. You wouldn't want to end up like your mother, would you? So much stress, so many accidents waiting to happen." A car horn blared outside. Brandon. "This isn't over," Uncle Spencer called as I rushed out. "You're making a terrible mistake." I ran to Brandon's car, my heart pounding. As we drove away, I saw Aunt Louisa watching from an upstairs window, her hand pressed against the glass. "What happened?" Brandon asked, concerned. "Chloe said you were in trouble." I clutched my phone where another text from Chloe waited. "Found something else. A letter from your mom to someone named Rebecca. Says she has proof of everything Spencer did." "I need to find someone," I told Brandon. "Someone named Rebecca." She might be the key to understanding what really happened to my mother. Behind us, Uncle Spencer's house disappeared into the darkness, but I could still feel the weight of his threats hanging in the air. The next morning, I cornered Aunt Louisa at her favourite cafe. She was already on her second cappuccino when I slid into the seat across from her. "I need answers," I said, placing Mom's journal on the table, "and I know you have them." Her hands trembled as she set down her cup. "Michaela, please. Your uncle is not here." I leaned forward. "You knew my mother better than anyone. You had lunch with her every Sunday at the Botanical Gardens. What aren't you telling me?" She glanced around nervously before reaching into her purse. "I shouldn't have kept this." She pulled out a worn photograph. "It was taken the week before your mother died." The photo showed Mom and Aunt Louisa at their usual lunch spot. Mom was holding up a manila envelope, smiling triumphantly. She looked healthy, vibrant, nothing like someone about to die from natural causes. What was in the envelope? Bank statements, legal documents. Aunt Louisa's voice dropped to a whisper. "Proof that Spencer had been embezzling from your trust fund for years. He used his position as executor to—" She stopped abruptly, colour draining from her face. I turned to see what had frightened her. Through the cafe window, I spotted Uncle Spencer across the street watching us. "He follows you?" I asked, disgusted. "Always." Tears welled in her eyes. "Your mother tried to help me leave him, you know. She found me a lawyer, an apartment—" "When?" "The week she died." Louisa's hands shook so badly she knocked over her cup. Coffee spilled across the table, seeping into the edges of the photograph. Oh God, I've said too much. I grabbed napkins to mop up the spill. As I did, something fell from between the pages of Mum's journal. Another photograph, this one yellowed with age. I picked it up, and my heart stopped. It showed Uncle Spencer with my father, but not from years ago as I'd expected. The date stamp showed it was taken just last year at some corporate event. They were smiling, shaking hands like old friends. "He told me Dad abandoned us," I said, showing Louisa the photo. "That was a lie too, wasn't it?" She nodded miserably. "Spencer threatened to ruin your father's business if he didn't stay away. Said he'd make sure you grew up believing your father never loved you." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Your mother trusted me. Meet me at the Botanical Gardens tomorrow at noon. Come alone. Rebecca." "Do you know Rebecca?" I asked Louisa. The colour drained further from her face. "Spencer's ex-wife, the one he never talks about. She tried to warn your mother about him, but—" The cafe door chimed. Uncle Spencer walked in, his business smile firmly in place. "What a lovely surprise," he said, placing a heavy hand on Louisa's shoulder. "Having a little chat with our dear Michaela?" "We were just discussing wedding flowers," Louisa lied, her voice trembling. "Of course you were." His grip tightened visibly on her shoulder. "Darling, the car's waiting. And Michaela." His eyes fell to the photographs on the table. "Be careful with old memories. They can be misleading." As they left, Louisa glanced back at me, her eyes full of fear and something else, determination. She mouthed two words: "Trust Rebecca." I waited until they were gone before calling Chloe. "You won't believe what just happened," I started. "Wait," she cut me off. "You need to get home now. Someone broke into your apartment." I rushed home to find my place ransacked. Every drawer emptied, every book pulled from its shelf. Brandon and Chloe were already there, helping the police document the damage. "They were looking for something specific," the officer said. "Any idea what?" I clutched Mom's journal tighter in my purse, grateful I'd had it with me. "No idea." After the police left, Brandon pulled me aside. "What's really going on, Michaela? First the weird dinner, now this." I showed him the photographs, explained about Louisa's confession. His face darkened with each detail. "We need to cancel the wedding," he said finally. "No." I thought about Mom's triumphant smile in the photograph, about Louisa's trapped existence. "We need to finish what my mother started. I'm meeting Rebecca tomorrow." "Then I'm coming with you." She said to come alone. I touched his cheek. "Trust me, okay? I need to do this." As if on cue, my phone buzzed again. Uncle Spencer. Think carefully about your next move, dear niece. Some secrets are better left buried. Like your mother. I showed the message to Brandon and Chloe. Their faces reflected what I was feeling. Fear mixed with determination. He's threatening you now. Chloe grabbed her phone. I'm documenting everything. Tomorrow, I said, staring at the text. Tomorrow I find out what really happened to my mother. The botanical gardens were quiet at noon, except for the gentle splash of the koi pond. I sat on Mum's favourite bench, clutching her journal, when a tall woman with silver-streaked hair approached. You look just like her, she said, sitting beside me. I'm Rebecca. How did you know my mother? Rebecca pulled out a thick manila envelope. I was more than Spencer's ex-wife. I was the accountant who discovered his first embezzlement scheme. Your mother found me 10 years later, asking questions about Spencer's business practices. And you helped her? I tried. She opened the envelope. These are copies of everything your mother collected. Bank statements, forged signatures, recordings. Spencer didn't just steal your trust fund, he's been systematically destroying lives for decades. A man walking nearby caught my attention. He looked familiar, but before I could place him, he disappeared behind a hedge. Your mother was building a case against him, Rebecca continued. She had everything ready to take to the authorities. Then she had her accident. You think he killed her? I think. Rebecca stopped abruptly as my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Walk away now. Don't trust her. Dad. My hands shook. My father's here. He's been watching over you, Rebecca said softly. Spencer threatened to harm you if your father interfered. But now... She handed me another envelope. These are letters your father wrote to you. Spencer intercepted them all. I opened one at random, dated just 6 months ago. My dearest daughter, watching you from afar breaks my heart, but as long as Spencer has his hooks in the company, as long as he can hurt you, I have to stay away. I'm working on a solution. Stay strong. Love, Dad. Spencer's been blackmailing my father. Among others, Rebecca pulled out more documents. Your mother discovered Spencer had been using the company to launder money. When she confronted him, he killed her. The words felt like glass in my throat. She left this with me the day before she died. Rebecca handed me a USB drive. It's her video testimony, along with all the evidence. I've been waiting for the right time. A twig snapped behind us. We both turned to see Uncle Spencer emerging from behind a tree, his business smile firmly in place. Rebecca, he said smoothly, still causing trouble, I see. It's over, Spencer. Rebecca stood, positioning herself between us. Michaela knows everything. Does she? He looked at me with cold eyes. Does she know you were in love with her father, that you've spent years trying to destroy me out of jealousy? That's not true, Rebecca said firmly. Show her the video, Michaela. I reached for my phone, but Spencer was faster. Show her your phone records instead, all those calls to her father over the years, the hotel receipts. Don't listen to him, Rebecca pleaded. Your mother trusted me. My mother is dead. I stood up, clutching both envelopes and the USB drive. And one of you is lying. A figure stepped out from behind the hedge. My father older than in the photo, but unmistakable. Spencer's smile faltered. Hello, brother, my father said quietly, still manipulating everyone. Dad, my voice cracked. He moved to stand beside me, placing a protective hand on my shoulder. I'm here now, sweetheart, and I can prove everything. Spencer's mask finally cracked. You'll regret this, he snarled, backing away. All of you. We have copies of everything, Rebecca called after him. It's over. As Spencer disappeared down the path, my father turned to me. I'm so sorry, Michaela. I thought I was protecting you. We all did, Rebecca added. But your mother knew the truth had to come out eventually. That's why she left the journal where Spencer would accidentally expose it. My phone buzzed again. Chloe. Police just called. They found evidence of tampering with your mum's car brakes. They're looking for Spencer. I looked at my father, then at Rebecca. What do we do now? Now, Rebecca said. We finish what your mother started. The wedding is in 3 days. It's time Spencer faces everyone he's hurt. I'll help, my father said. No more hiding. I thought of Aunt Louisa trapped in her gilded cage, of my mother's final act of protection, of all the lives Spencer had destroyed. The wedding stays on schedule, I decided, but we're doing it my way. And when Spencer shows up to control everything, we'll be ready, Rebecca finished. My phone buzzed one last time. Uncle Spencer, you've made your choice. Remember what happened to the last person who crossed me? I showed the message to my father and Rebecca. Their expressions hardened. He's threatening you now? My father pulled out his phone. That's the final evidence we needed. The koi pond bubbled peacefully behind us, but the calm before the storm was over. In 3 days, everything would change. 2 days before the wedding, I sat at my kitchen table with Brandon, Chloe, my father, and Rebecca, finalizing our plan. Mom's journal lay open beside a stack of evidence we'd compiled. Are you sure about this? Brandon asked, squeezing my hand. We could just elope. No. I spread out the seating chart we'd stolen from Uncle Spencer's wedding planner. He needs to face everyone he's hurt. All at once. Chloe held up a USB drive. I've edited your mum's video testimony. It's ready to play on the reception hall's screens. Spencer will try to stop it, Rebecca warned. He always has a backup plan. My father nodded grimly. That's why we have one too. He pulled out his phone, showing us an email. The company board meets tomorrow. They're already suspicious about the financial discrepancies I've been anonymously reporting. A knock at the door made us all freeze. Through the peephole, I saw Aunt Louisa, looking nervously over her shoulder. He's planning something, she blurted as soon as I let her in. He's been making calls all day, talking about containing the situation. She wrung her hands. He knows you're all meeting here. As if on cue, my phone rang. Uncle Spencer. Speaker, Rebecca mouthed. I answered. Hello? Darling niece. His voice oozed false warmth. I've been thinking about our little scene at the gardens. Perhaps we could discuss things privately? Over dinner? Actually, I'm busy with wedding details. Yes, about that. His tone hardened. I've taken the liberty of calling your vendors. Apparently there were some issues with the payments. Such a shame if everything had to be cancelled last minute. Brandon stood up, fists clenched. I grabbed his arm. What do you want? I asked Spencer. Simple. Call off whatever little scheme you're plotting. Admit you were confused about your mother's accusations. Let me handle the wedding as planned. He paused. Or watch everything fall apart. Your choice. Like you gave my mother a choice? The line went silent for a moment. Careful, Michaela. Accidents can run in families. My father grabbed the phone. Threaten my daughter again, Spencer, and... big brother finally showing your face, tell me. How's the guilty conscience, abandoning your family, letting your wife die alone? I ended the call, hands shaking. He's scared, Rebecca said. He's making mistakes. Louisa pulled something from her purse, a small recorder. I've been saving this. It's from the night Sylvia died. He came home drunk, talking about what he'd done. Her voice broke. I was too afraid to come forward before. Chloe took the recorder. This is the final piece we needed. My phone buzzed with a text from the wedding planner. Mr. Schmidt asked me to change the reception venue. Please confirm this is okay. He's trying to derail everything, Brandon said. No, I started typing a response. Let him think he's winning. When he shows up to the botanical gardens, he'll find exactly what he deserves, my father finished. Another knock at the door. This time it was a courier with an envelope marked urgent. Inside was a single photograph. My mother's car after the accident, along with a note. Brake lines are so fragile. Would be terrible if history repeated itself. That's it. Brandon grabbed his keys. We're going to the police now. Wait. I picked up Mum's journal. She wrote something about this, about why she didn't go to the police. I found the page. Spencer owns half the force through blackmail. The only way to stop him is to expose everything at once publicly where he can't hide. The wedding, Chloe said, with all his business associates, friends, everyone he's ever manipulated in one room. He'll have nowhere to run, Rebecca finished. My father pulled out his phone again. I'll have security ready. Real security, not his people. Louisa stood straighter than I'd ever seen her, I'll testify. About everything. First, I said, we need to secure the real venue. Everyone thinks we're having it at the Metropolitan, but the Botanical Gardens staff are ready for us. What if he figures it out? Brandon asked. I thought about Mom's smile in that last photograph, holding the evidence she'd died protecting. Then we'll be ready for that too. My phone buzzed one last time. Uncle Spencer. Final chance, dear niece. Tomorrow night, dinner at my house. Come alone, or the wedding won't be the only thing that gets cancelled. I showed everyone the message. He's giving us the perfect opportunity, Rebecca said quietly. Yes, I agreed, thinking of the recorder in my purse. One last dinner with Uncle Spencer. The night before my wedding, I sat across from Uncle Spencer at his dining table wearing a wire beneath my blouse. Brandon and my father were parked around the corner listening to every word. I'm so glad you came to your senses, Spencer said, pouring wine. Family should stick together, shouldn't they? Like you stuck by my father. I took a sip, remembering Rebecca's warning to keep him talking. Your father abandoned his responsibilities? He smiled thinly. Someone had to step up, protect you and your mother. Is that what you call what happened to Mom? His hand tightened on his glass. Accidents happen, dear, especially to people who don't know when to let things go. Like her brake lines being cut? The silence stretched between us. Aunt Louisa's hands shook as she served the main course. Such an imagination you have. Spencer's voice turned cold. Like this ridiculous idea about a trust fund, all these accusations about business dealings you couldn't possibly understand. I pulled out Mum's journal. She understood. That's why you killed her, isn't it? Put that away. His mask slipped for a moment. You know, your mother had quite the drinking problem toward the end. Did she ever tell you that? Such a shame, really. Made her quite accident-prone. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. Got it all. Keep going. Tell me about Rebecca, I said, watching his face. And the money laundering. He slammed his hand on the table. Louisa jumped, nearly dropping a plate. Enough! He stood, looming over me. You want to know the truth? Your precious mother was going to ruin everything. Years of careful planning, building this family's legacy. She had to be stopped. Spencer, please, Louisa whispered. Shut up! He rounded on her. You're just as bad sneaking around with that recorder. Did you think I wouldn't notice? My blood ran cold. He knew about the recorder. The wedding's off, he continued, turning back to me. In fact, you're going to check yourself into a private facility. Grief can do strange things to a young mind, make them imagine all sorts of things about trusted family members. You can't force me, can't I? He pulled out his phone. One call to the right doctor, with testimony from your concerned aunt about your recent erratic behaviour. I won't lie for you anymore, Louisa said suddenly, standing up. Sylvia was my friend. Spencer moved so fast I barely saw it, his hand connected with Louisa's face, sending her stumbling backward. That's assault, my father's voice came from the doorway. He and Brandon stood there, phones recording everything. Add it to the list. Spencer lunged for the journal, but I was faster. I backed away, bumping into the china cabinet. A photograph fell, glass shattering across the floor. It's over, I said, holding up my phone. Everything you just said has been recorded. The police are already on their way. The police? He laughed. My police? No. Rebecca stepped in from the kitchen. The federal agents who've been building a case against you for months. Your trusted officers have been feeding them information since Sylvia died. Red and blue lights flashed outside the windows. You've lost, Spencer, my father said. The board meeting tomorrow? Already happened. Your assets are frozen. Spencer's face contorted with rage. He grabbed a knife from the table and lunged at me. Brandon tackled him before he could reach me. They crashed into the china cabinet, sending glass everywhere. I heard sirens, shouts, the splintering of wood as federal agents broke down the front door. You're just like your mother, Spencer spat as they handcuffed him. She didn't know when to stop either. No, I picked up Mom's journal from where it had fallen. She knew exactly when to start. After the agents took Spencer away, Louisa sat trembling on the couch while a paramedic checked her face. "The wedding," she said suddenly. "He already called everyone, changed the venue." "Let him think he won that one," I smiled. "The botanical gardens are ready for us. The real invitations went out days ago." My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. "Videos ready, reception screens tested, everything's set for tomorrow." Brandon wrapped his arm around me. "You okay?" I looked around at our unlikely team, my father, Rebecca, Louisa, all the people Spencer had tried to break. "I am now." "Your mother would be proud," Rebecca said softly. Tomorrow I'd walk down the aisle at the place my mother loved, surrounded by the truth she died protecting. But tonight, watching the police car take Spencer away, I finally felt free. "Let's go home," I said. "We have a wedding to prepare for." The botanical gardens bloomed with late summer flowers as guests filled the rows of white chairs. Through the gossamer curtain of my bridal tent, I watched Spencer's business associates arrive, checking their phones in confusion at the venue change. "Ready?" Chloe adjusted my veil. "The police are in position just in case." "Did everyone get the USB drives?" "Hidden under their seats right now. They'll play on their phones the moment Rebecca sends the signal." My father poked his head in. "It's time, sweetheart." He paused, taking in my dress. "You look just like your mother on her wedding day." As we took our positions, I saw Aunt Louisa slip into her seat, makeup carefully covering yesterday's bruise. Rebecca sat near the back, her finger hovering over her phone. The music started. Dad squeezed my arm as we began walking. Brandon waited at the altar, but my eyes were drawn to the commotion at the garden entrance. Uncle Spencer, out on bail, was arguing with the security guards. "That's my niece's wedding," his voice carried across the garden. "I'm family." The guard showed him something on his phone, probably his arrest report from last night, but Spencer pushed past him, straightening his tie as he strode down the aisle. Right on cue. Rebecca pressed her phone. Suddenly, dozens of phones lit up throughout the crowd. My mother's voice filled the garden. "My name is Sylvia, and if you're watching this, I'm dead. Killed by my brother-in-law, Spencer, who I've discovered has been embezzling money and destroying lives for decades." Spencer froze mid-stride. On every phone screen, my mother's face told her story. The evidence scrolled beside her. Bank statements, forged documents, surveillance photos. "Turn those off!" Spencer shouted, but more phones kept lighting up. My mother's voice continued. "He's threatened my daughter, blackmailed my husband, and corrupted everything he's touched. The proof is in your hands now." Business associates began standing up, their faces turning from confusion to anger as they saw their own stolen money documented in the evidence. "This is slander!" Spencer tried to grab a phone, but the owner pulled away. "She was unstable, drinking. Like you said I was drinking last night." Aunt Louisa stood up. "Before you hit me." She wiped away her makeup, revealing the bruise. Spencer lunged for the altar. "I won't let you ruin everything." Brandon stepped in front of me, but he didn't need to. 2 federal agents emerged from the crowd, grabbing Spencer's arms. "New evidence came in this morning," one announced. "Your bail's been revoked." "You can't do this," Spencer struggled. "I built this family. I protected them." "Protected them?" My father's voice boomed across the garden. "You killed my wife, threatened my daughter, destroyed lives for money." "The board voted this morning." A man in an expensive suit stood up. "You're out, Spencer. The company's returning everything you stole." As the agents led Spencer away, he locked eyes with me. "I should have dealt with you like I dealt with your mother." The garden went silent. One of the agents pulled out a recorder. "Would you like to elaborate on that confession, sir?" Spencer's face crumpled as he realized what he'd done. His mask finally shattered completely. "She deserved it!" he screamed as they dragged him out. "They all deserved it." The garden erupted in chaos. People were shouting, calling lawyers, watching my mother's video with horrified expressions. "Should we—" Brandon gestured at the disorder. "Maybe postpone?" I took his hand and turned to the minister. "No. We're doing this now." "Here?" Brandon looked around at the commotion. "Here." I squeezed his hand. "In my mother's favourite place, with the truth finally out. This is exactly where we should be. The minister cleared his throat. Shall we begin? Gradually, people settled back into their seats. Phones were lowered, though my mother's voice still echoed softly from a few devices. Aunt Louisa was crying but smiling. Rebecca and my father sat together, both looking relieved and exhausted. Dearly beloved, the minister began, we are gathered here today. I looked out at the garden, at the flowers my mother had loved, at the people finally free from Spencer's web of lies. In my bouquet, I'd tucked a page from her journal, her last entry, written the day she died. My dearest Michaela, never let anyone dim your light. The truth always finds its way into the sunshine. As Brandon and I exchanged vows, police sirens wailed in the distance, carrying Spencer away for the last time. But here, in the garden, surrounded by light and truth and love, justice had finally bloomed. The reception was nothing like Uncle Spencer had planned. Instead of the Metropolitan's grand ballroom, we celebrated under the stars in the botanical gardens. Paper lanterns swayed in the evening breeze as guests mingled, still processing the day's revelations. Your mother would have loved this, Aunt Louisa said, joining me at a table near the koi pond. Her bruise was visible now, but she held herself differently, lighter, freer. Did you see this? She handed me a newspaper someone had brought. The headline read, Corporate Scandal Exposed at Wedding, CEO Arrested. The reporter wants to talk to you, my father said, sitting down with us. They're calling you a hero. I shook my head. Mom was the hero. I just finished what she started. Rebecca approached with a stack of papers. The board signed everything over. The trust fund, the company shares. It's all being returned to their rightful owners. Including this. My father pulled out an envelope. Your mother's life insurance policy. Spencer blocked the payout, claiming she died by suicide. The insurance company's reopening the case. Brandon clinked his glass, calling for attention. Everyone, there's something else you should see. Chloe started a new video on the reception screens. This time it wasn't evidence or accusations. It was home movies. My mother laughing, dancing at parties, having lunch with Louisa at this very garden. I found these while going through Spencer's things, Chloe explained. He kept them, maybe as trophies. No, Louisa said softly. He kept them because some part of him knew he'd lose eventually. Your mother made sure of that. A detective approached our table. Sorry to interrupt, but we found something in Mr. Schmidt's safe. He handed me a letter. It's addressed to you from your mother. My hands shook as I opened it. My darling daughter, if you're reading this, then everything has come to light. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from Spencer's darkness, but I knew you would be strong enough to face it. The journal wasn't just evidence. It was my way of teaching you one final lesson. That love and truth are stronger than fear and lies. Remember the sunflowers we planted together? How they always turned toward the light. Be like them, Michaela. Keep turning toward the light. All my love. Mom. Brandon squeezed my hand as I folded the letter. On the dance floor, guests were watching the home movies, sharing stories about my mother, about Spencer's manipulations, about their own experiences breaking free from toxic control. The detective has more news, my father said. Spencer confessed to everything, said he was tired of running. He also gave up his accomplices, Rebecca added. Half the police force is being investigated. His network is completely exposed. Louisa stood suddenly. I want to speak at his trial. About everything. We all will, I said, standing with her. No more shadows, no more secrets. The home movies showed a clip of my mother here in the garden, pointing at something off camera. I walked to where she'd been standing and found a small plaque I'd never noticed before. The inscription read, Truth blooms in its own time. Michaela, Chloe called. They're ready for the first dance. Brandon led me to the dance floor as music filled the garden, but instead of the formal waltz Spencer had insisted on, it was my mother's favourite song, the one she used to dance to in our kitchen on Sunday mornings. Look, Brandon whispered, nodding toward the garden entrance. The evening staff were setting up a new sign. The Sylvia Memorial Garden where truth blooms. The board approved it this morning, my father explained, along with a foundation in her name to help people escape domestic abuse and financial exploitation. As we danced, I watched the people around us. Louisa laughing with Rebecca, my father sharing stories with old friends, Chloe documenting everything for the upcoming trial. All the lives Spencer had tried to control, now blooming in their own way. The letter crinkled in my pocket, my mother's words echoing in my mind. Like the sunflowers we'd planted, we'd all turned toward the light. "Ready to go home?" Brandon asked as the song ended. I looked around the garden one last time, at the flowers, the lanterns, the koi pond where my mother had spent so many Sunday afternoons plotting our freedom. "We are home," I said. "This is exactly where we're supposed to be." Above us, the stars twinkled like scattered diamonds, so much brighter than any ballroom chandelier Spencer could have chosen. In the end, my mother's garden had given us something his money never could, the space to grow toward the light, free from shadows at last.